Hey guys, this is Coach Josh. I wanted to hop on here today and talk a little bit about mobility with you. There's a couple reasons I wanted to do this. First one being, this is the biggest piece of feedback that I'm getting from you guys, especially while completing that skills portion of each day. Biggest piece of feedback I'm getting is questions about, hey, my lower back is hurting while I go throughout my days. Do you have any stretches for that? Or my hips are tight, I notice it whenever I'm doing this movement. I'm feeling clicking in my abs whenever I'm doing any exercise that requires straight legs in my core work, or any of those questions that I'm just commonly getting that are all linked back to the same thing. So the second reason I really want to talk about this is we are working right now on creating a mobility method, kind of an ebook for you guys to be able to go through as a one-time purchase and to have access to teach you everything that you need to know about mobility. I feel like in fitness, this is one of the things that we don't talk about enough because it's not the sexiest thing out there. It's not what's going to get you the biggest muscles. It's not going to tone you the best. It's not going to help you lose weight, but it really is the base of a lot of things. I think there's a lot of misconceptions around mobility. So what we're looking to do is to give you something interactive that you're able to go through each day that's very simple, that teaches you the things that you need to know. And being someone that's not in the fitness industry as a profession, you don't need to know every little detail about everything. So I want to be able to dumb things down to where it's very understandable to be able to take in. Some of the questions I get about mobility is, isn't that just stretching? Isn't that just flexibility? Because I'm not flexible, or because I don't stretch a lot. Or maybe I stretch before my workout or after my workout. And the answer to a lot of that is yes and no. It's very, very complicated answers whenever you're dealing with mobility there. And that's what we're gonna aim to kind of solve for you guys and help you so you aren't feeling that low back pain. You aren't feeling that tightness in your hips or the clicking in your hips when doing straight leg core work or so on and so forth. This can be anything as you get down to some injuries and stuff as well. I'm not someone that ever likes to claim injury prevention. I'm not sure that there is a thing such as injury prevention. However, I believe that there are steps that you can take that better prepare your body to go through the events that would cause an injury. And that's a lot of what I believe mobility is. So I'm going to go through a few questions here, about 5 kind of common questions that I get about mobility, answer those real quick for you guys, and then talk a little bit about our mobility method and what you guys can be expecting here in the near future as we begin to develop that and get that to you. So the first question I wanted to address is, what is mobility? How's it different than stretching? And why can't I just continue to do the same stretches I've done for a long time? So I want to talk about the main difference that I see between mobility and stretching. A lot of times we'll use stretching to either relieve pain or warm up, cool down before or after a workout. And that'll really be kind of the end all of our stretching routine. And those stretches do have their time and place. And don't get me wrong, stretching is a part of mobility. However, whenever we're stretching, a lot of what we're gonna see is what I call a stretch reflex, or you might hear it called the stretch effect. Stretching is gonna help relieve that pain in your target area for about 15 to 20 minutes after you get done stretching. Likewise, if you're doing this pre or post workout, you're gonna see that increased range of motion due to the effect of stretching and the fact that you did that stretch. However, this does not create a long-term solution for those issues, that pain that you're feeling or the lack of range of motion that is there. Oftentimes, these methods are going to be much longer than the short, little sweet stretches that we're doing before or after a workout, or stretches that we're doing to relieve pain throughout the day. Mobility is more so about activating all of the muscles and finding a balance between those common imbalances. So we want to find the reason that we're feeling pain and work on those imbalances, whether it be a lack of activation, maybe a shortened or overused muscle, or something similar to that nature, instead of stretching pre-workout or to relieve pain and really just kind of manipulating the elasticity of the muscle rather than developing a long-term change. The second question I want to answer kind of ties back to the first question as well. This is one that I get pretty often, okay? That question is, how come I'm stretching out my low back, but it still continues to hurt throughout the day? So this answer kind of goes back to what I talked about with your stretch reflex, or the stretch effect as it's more commonly called. That effect is going to really manipulate the elasticity of the muscle and help that short-term pain relief or short-term range of motion in that muscle group or in that target area that you're working. However, a lot of times the cause of our pain, specifically in this instance with the low back, isn't due to tightness in the actual muscles that are surrounding that lumbar portion of your back. A lot of times this is actually something called the psoas muscle, that is one of the groups in your hip flexors. Due to this, there's some extra different stretches that you can do to help work with those muscles that are commonly underactive. A lot of our hip flexor muscle groups are underactive due to the nature of us sitting all day, especially with desk work or common office jobs. So in our mobility method, we seek to look at those target areas that are kind of a long-term solution to a lot of those common pains that you might be feeling in specific target areas. The third question I want to answer, I get pretty often whenever I put in the skill work of mobility for you guys. And that question is this mobility going to help in my strength training or help me lose weight? And the answer is simple. The answer is yes. But it might not be in a way that you expect. So for strength training, one example I like to give is your mobility is of course a combination between your flexibility and your strength. A common example I can give of this is the front squat. The front squat movement is not one that I program a lot of times across a broad spectrum for all of our members and all of our clients. And that's because the range of motion in the shoulder in our front rack position, as we call it, which is when you're keeping a barbell here in front rack at the collarbone, is not something that everyone is able to achieve due to a lack of motion in the shoulder and sometimes in the lats and those surrounding groups, even in your rhomboids as well. So that can give you the ability to be able to complete other lifts with high muscle activation rates that you might be failing in due to range of motion. Another example of this is as you're lifting heavier and heavier, if you're someone that has a goal of increasing strength, that front rack position, if you don't have that steady mobility of the shoulder, you'll see yourself start to dip with the weight. So instead of being able to keep the barbell here, you'll find yourself with your elbows more down instead of in that high front rack position. This is going to pull the bar forward and pull you forward as an athlete, which will make it much more difficult to complete the reps at the weight that you're trying to achieve with the muscle group that you're working, this being the legs. The second portion of this is this going to help me lose weight, so on and so forth? Is this going to help me tone? And the answer also is yes. And so I want to use the example of someone who's feeling low back pain on a Stairmaster. Stairmaster is something that I like to program pretty often for you guys, and you've probably seen that in there if you're on one of the plans that's working at a gym or you're at an apartment gym that has access to a Stairmaster. So the Stairmaster is going to be a very, very repetitive movement that's going to call in the same muscle groups over and over and over again. I've had a lot of you reach out about different pain areas that you're feeling here, whether it be the back of the glute, the top of the glute, the low back, or the outside of the hips. These different methods in mobility are going to help you work on those imbalances with your muscles, the muscles that are shortened or the muscles that are overactive, to help balance those out so you're able to more efficiently achieve those workouts. So for someone who's able to go through the cardiovascular portion of the Stairmaster that has to take breaks for the pain that they're feeling in those target areas, you're going to be able to more efficiently get through these movements without taking those breaks and stopping, and without feeling the pain afterwards, which none of us enjoy anyways. The fourth question I want to answer is, what is mobility in simple terms? Mobility is going to be a combination of flexibility and strength that you're able to use on a daily basis in functional movements, whether it be in the gym, at the office, or at home without feeling pain. The last question I want to answer is, what can I expect from the mobility method, and how does it differ from a traditional training plan with the skill work of that mobility? So the answer here is going to be, the mobility method is going to be an interactive book, an interactive PDF that's going to allow you to go through a specific plan made by professionals that's going to help you increase your mobility and be able to get through all of your workouts efficiently outside of the traditional workout plan that you have. So the mobility method is going to be something that I recommend getting in addition to your workout plan, whether you're on a build, a tone, or any of our other plans, to increase the amount of time that you're spending working on your muscle imbalances. And that's really what this comes down to. The main root, the main cause of the pain that you're feeling or the lack of range of motion that you're experiencing is due to muscle imbalances. We want to give you specific time during the day that's recommended in the book, whether it be morning, night, pre-workout, post-workout, or any other time of day, that you're able to follow this protocol and be able to increase your range of motion and to help you be getting through both your workouts with less pain and your daily routine with less pain.